Okay, guys, let's do a recap of where we're at. Well, first I have sphalerite dust. I went through the quest book. Just, got to the part where we needed to make the blast furnace. I haven't completed it yet. Another thing I did on the side was I actually made an LV machine array. This is powered by roughly about 9 steam dynamos, just because my OCD, I want it to be symmetrical. So I have this 10 steam dynamo just chilling, not being used, but I wanted it to be symmetrical. This is not automatically restocked yet. What I'm probably going to try to do is I'm probably going to set up an item conduit now that I have some pulsating dust, just to, feed the steam dynamos in a round robin fashion. But the biggest thing with steam dynamos, so here's the big issue. The thing with steam dynamos is that they burn. That they burn fuel constantly, right? They're always passively burning fuel. So you always need to either outpace your burn rate, or have a way to automatically generate passive fuel, which kind of feeds into number one, or feeds into A. And right now, I looked at, there's not a lot of ways to really automatically cut down trees. Like, let's look at the block breaker, right? So I think, oh, maybe I can make a tree farm with a bunch of block breakers, right? Make auto breakers. Oh, I lied. I guess I can. No, I can't make that, right? Because I need MV with the atomic reconstructor. Oh, wait. Yeah, I need aluminium casings. So I can't really do that MV. I mean, I'm at the cusp of MV. Once I really build this blast furnace, I guess I could do that. So maybe I could just rely on steam dynamos. The other route, like I said before, is I can use magmatic dynamos, pumping from the nether. And that's the thing. The nice thing about magmatic dynamos is that, if I last recall, they're kind of like diesel generators in Greg Tech Community Edition, that they only work when they need to give energy. So I haven't really decided that yet. I kind of don't want to pump the nether. I just feel like that's kind of boring, even though I know it might be intended by the pack dev to pump the nether. I don't know. It's not my jam, right? Not my jam. I'd rather have another method of doing it. Another thing you might have noticed is that I finally got enough skulls. I had a Lost Cities a bed portal, and let's just go check that out right now. So let's try that out. And I think after I try that out, we can call it a day, and we could probably move on to other projects. Okay, let's see what's behind this portal. So just an update. This is not my first time going to the Lost Cities. I did go in here before, hence why there's a hole in the wall with some spawners here, and you can see that overworld cake. One thing I realized is that you can't get back into. I'm not sure if there's a way to get back into the overworld once you move into the Lost Cities. So unless you die, but thankfully the quest book gives you an overworld cake or a void world cake to return back to where you were once every hour. So just hold up somewhere for an hour, you're able to get there. But the main reason I want to be here is because look at this, spawners, man, easy experience. That, and it's also just a little bit more exciting. But I want to really explore here, get a drill core, and hopefully be able to get a better mining tool, because I'm still not sure how far we are from the microverse miner. It sucks, right? Because if I spend all this effort to go find a tool, better mining, I'm like, just 5 hours away from getting passive resources for the rest of the pack. But, let's hope it doesn't turn out like that. Okay, guys, I'll see you right in the next episode. Yeah, that's about it. What should I name this pickaxe? How about... There we go. Perfect. What an amazing name. Hey guys, welcome back. So, right now, you caught me when I'm working on trying to get to the nether. I did a little bit of exploration in Lost Cities. I picked up a couple spawners. I just jammed them inside my satchel transporters. I got a spider spawner, a zombie spawner, and a skeleton spawner. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with them yet. I'll come up plans with them for them eventually. But for now, my plan is I'm gonna try to get some lava going, just because for the nether cake, right? And here's another thing. The pack uses topography to disable nether portals, traditional vanilla nether portals. You can even search it yourself, right? Inside the topography configs, but it doesn't work for some reason. I'm assuming Damien is trying his best to debug that, but in the meantime, there still will be players who will probably not realize it and end up you know, using nether portals. I'm just gonna, you know, play the way the pack was intended. Even though, according to Damien himself, that it's only minor game-breaking things, like, so I guess game-breaking is a misnomer, progression breaking. You can get to the nether pretty easily though when you make the nether cake, because all you need is a chemical reactor, and you can get that once you're in LV. But I guess it is a world difference than just having obsidian and flint and steel. But yeah, so it is nerfed just a little bit nerfed in terms of nether progress. What I'm doing right now is I'm gonna go run and fetch some lava. In fact, this is something I normally do much earlier in every pack. I don't know why I was just so late to get lava this time around. And there's a variety of multiple tanks you can choose from. I'm just gonna choose the fluid tanks just because they store 16, even though they can't be upgraded. I'm just too lazy to make the electrical steel right now for the TE portable tanks. What's interesting is if you actually look at the quantum tank, so this in Greg Tech, it's usually made by field generators. It seems to me that the recipe was actually altered. You can even see that the recipe ID, there's a custom craft tweaker ID rather than a Greg Tech ID. Because this normally requires osmium. It's been changed to require energetic alloy. So it's funny. So quantum tanks have actually been pushed down. They're available much earlier. So there's a lot of that's just another additional change I noticed that Damien made. So yeah, lucky for you guys, you actually have it available a lot earlier now. Also, another thing, make another bed. Don't be like me. I was just all set to go. I just wanted to sleep to pass the nighttime, and I fell asleep in the Lost Cities bed. It's just a bit awkward, you know, just to wake up, you're not in the same house you were in, you know, so it's just basically you had a really bad night out, or a really good night out. Heyo. Alright, so I know I had a lava pit above ground somewhere. Somewhere is the big keyword. Yep, found it. I can also go down. Oh, what am I doing? I basically dug down to, okay. Close. Oh man, who made this cave? Why did I run out of ladders? Oh, this is horrible. This is... On any normal day, you would have not have caught me doing this. Alright, journey map, guide me towards the lava. Oh, okay, that was easy. Got my easy peasy lava. And another thing why I like about these fluid tanks, is that they're basically also kind of pseudo like fluid hoppers. They have a really weak push rate. They're super slow, but you can still configure EIO tanks, right, with side configurations to push pull, and they can also be kind of like, well, actually, how expensive is a fluid trash can? Okay, not very again. So yeah, you can either choose to use the fluid trash cans if you want to be voiding stuff anyway. What's the best way to do this? I don't want to use the whole entire tank lava at once, so let's just, there we go. It's unfortunate though that you can't actually, I can't just right click it into the tank, but I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Like, I'm not gonna stress about it. All right, so I'm gonna get the nether cake up and ready. And to be honest, I'm only making another cake because I'm procrastinating on main progression. Oh yeah, because I was talking about, I'm still not planning to pump the nether, but it's getting harder and harder to resist because Magmatic Dynamos are actually more powerful than Steam Dynamos, and Ender tanks is pretty cheap on average to make. But the main reason why I'm reluctant to do it, even though like the pack really incentivizes you to do that, is because when I started playing Minecraft, I actually didn't start playing on private servers. I played on a lot of sponge or book it servers, right? There were these large public servers that would see dozens of players, had a huge turnover rate. But you know, that was the type of Minecraft I like to play because I was always meet other people, and I was stupidly competitive in Minecraft. Even though it was modded, I would just be like, yeah, I'm gonna be the first person. I'm gonna have the biggest base. It was really immature, but you know, I looked fondly upon that time. And I'm not talking about like I was a young kid. Like, I got into modded Minecraft. I'm gonna date myself, but I got into modded Minecraft when I was in college. All right, so it's immaturity is not out of the question. You should be a pretty, in my opinion at least, you should at least have some formative experience and not be immature and a punk when you're in college, okay? But the internet does crazy things to people. So, and now I'm just nostalgia tripping just because that was how I originally started playing Minecraft. Those servers, they were special in a way because they usually had a ban list to prevent mass griefing, and they reserved chunk loading behind a paywall, and me being the broke ass college student I was, didn't want to pay. So and that's where I really cut my teeth I guess is the best way to put it. That's where I really built my Minecraft chops, right? That's where I started learning and trying to figure out workarounds. Most of them, I used my own sense of morality if they were legit workarounds versus duping, because since I wasn't allowed to use chunk loaders, I was trying to figure out, all right, well, how can I, beat this pack? And when I was talking about these packs, I was talking about like FTB Ultimate. I was talking about Infinity Evolved. Those were the packs that I was really playing. And I was trying to figure out, like, all right, how do I get a large amount of resources without being able to use chunk loading? And back then, I guess it wasn't really that crazy, because Minecraft only had you only needed like 1,000 chrome in FTB Ultimate, right? Like versus the number scaling that happens here. In fact, even I beat FTB Infinity Evolve without chunk loading, right? And I think without chunk loading, I still had like 240 hours on it. And that was just me always actively trying to do stuff. So I kind of missed that. And one of the biggest things I wasn't allowed to do because there was no chunk loading was pumping lava from the nether. I know other players did it because other players would be in teams and they would have their little brother or little sister be like, hey, you sit in this box in the nether for like 5 hours so we can get enough lava for the base. Imagine see, that's what little siblings are good for. Just here, be this paperweight, be this digital paperweight for the next 12 hours. Take one for the team. All right, thanks. And I didn't have that. I didn't have a digital paperweight to chunk load for me. And even when I was playing GregTech New Horizons, I met this other player. Her name was her online nickname was Death, and she had an alternate account that she would just AFK on. So she would like log on 2 things at once. And for me, I thought that was abhorrent. I was mortified at that behavior. I was just like, oh, get it away from me. That's perverse. Oh, what a horrible way to get around the system. Because I had like this weird sense of Minecraft morality that doesn't really make any sense. But yeah, anyways, towards the end, I was just like, in the end, play how you want to play, and that's what I'm basically doing right now. So I'm like sitting in my base trying to figure out what's the best way moving forward, and I think I came up with something. So what I'm going to do is, steam power, as much shit as I give it, is not that bad. Even though I have to manually top these all off, that's simple, right? I could just use an item conduit, round robin it, like I said before in the last episode, to get this all powered up. But what I really want to work towards is the farming station, because that's really how you get a lot of your passive resources, right? You have to grow it somehow. And this way you can just do a tree farm. And once I can get a charcoal tree farm, then I can easily scale up steam dynamos up to the point where where my tree farm can outpace it. So let's look through the farming station together and just see. And there's other farmers here, but they don't actually do trees. I can also do this sugarcane, this wide, big ass sugarcane farm, because sugarcane can actually be used inside a steam dynamo, right? It can be burned, it has fuel, provides about 3,000 RF. The big issue is it's not as exciting, for me. It's just scaling up this setup like a dozen times. I'd rather just work towards a farming station, plus by then I'll have an actual working farming station anyway. If you guys have any other ideas, let me know. So I can also do the GregTech route, and in fact, if I was a mod pack dev and I was in interactions, we would probably force you to go to the GregTech route, because that's what we did in interactions. We disabled all RF generators, because as a rule of thumb, most RF generators are way more overpowered than their EU counterparts. So that's why, I can also go the diesel route too with all the oil sands everywhere, but that's not automatic, man, right? Like that's just a pain in the ass until you actually get a tree farmer. That's the big annoying part, until you get a tree farmer that can cut down reeds. And in fact, that might kind of be, depending on how powerful nuclear craft is, that might even be my end game setup. But everything just always boils back to having a farming station or a tree farmer. So I really want to go like sort this out, because this requires vibrant alloy. That's fine. Vibrant alloy is just, energetic alloy ender pearls. If I can get enough ender pearls, I can find the end fortress, go to the end, or I could find, I don't even know if lost cities have enderman spawners. I'm hoping so. But anyways, Z-Logic controller requires a slice and splice, which requires wafer silicon. That's completely fine. This pretty much, yeah, so this requires MV as well. Not a big problem. I can get MV pretty easily, and it's pretty easy to power MV just using steam dynamos. Don't need to stress about that. In fact, this output right now, it's actually, I just need to double this setup, right? All these 9 steam dynamos, or 10, 11, 12 steam dynamos, and I should be able to get MV pretty easily. What else is the farming station? Energized alloy, also MV, energetic blend, which is just redstone and glowstone dust in a mixer. Also very simple. Okay, so this seems very achievable for the most part. Soul powder. Is this a trick? Nope, just gold and soul sand. Simple machine chassis. Yep, also more grain. So I could set up also another little grain automator down at the bottom. But overall, I'm not super worried about this at all. Pulsating crystal, is this the one? Nope, just requires pulsating iron and an autoclave. That's fine, and we're going to be making a lot of this anyway. Yeah, so the farming station is really the big one. Powering the farming station will also just be also through RF. If you have the choice and you want to skip through all of this, that's fine. You guys can just do magmatic generators. Just be a bitch. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm not judging you, really. I'm not. But for me, I judge myself, right? I judge myself, and I was going to be using this methodology. I probably wouldn't pump the nether. But I mean, if you want to see other parts of the pack, you just want to skip this early game. And I think that's why Damien kind of allowed it, just because to skip this early game grind. But you know, if you're also playing on one of those really large servers that doesn't allow free chunk loading, I mean, hey man, come over to my side. This is what you got to work with here. So yeah, you could just do a bum rush to the farming station and you'll be pretty good. All right, so let's actually get started in the farming station now, right? Let's just start getting the soul sand, the gold, all the items, and let's get this electric blast furnace up and running. I'll see you guys in a bit. So step one, trying to get this end cake, or I guess this farming station. Then you're gonna need a blast furnace, right? Or I like to call it the electric best friend. It's pretty simple to set up. You just take one blast. In fact, the quest actually does a decent job of saying the blocks that you need. But one thing I wanted to be picky about is that Greg Tech machines are very modular, right? So I mean, obviously it's for newer players, it's nice to have them over prepare than under prepare, but you technically don't need all these things to make a valid working blast furnace for most of your early needs. For example, you could just make extra casings. You don't need the fluid input hatches and fluid output hatches, but it's also nice to show players that that is where you can actually place these blocks. And when I talk about, and what I like to talk about is that the electric blast furnace is it's complex, but not in the, it's complex. So if you're familiar with the immersive engineering blast furnace or the arc furnace, that's like what I like to call complicated. Like once you get it, it's, you know, if you have a manual, you can just walk yourself through it, whatever. It doesn't require that much thinking despite being called complicated. But the Greg Tech blast furnaces, they are what I like to call complex. And what I mean, the difference is that they're modular. So like where I'm putting these heat-proof machine casings, I can replace them with energy input hatches. Where any of these casings go, like I can even put hatches up at top, and sometimes I actually like to do that for some of my late game setups. I like to put the hatches on top. But for here, it's like, you know, I could just stick a ladder on here and then finish up the rest of the blast furnace. In fact, whoopsies, I don't think I have enough heat-proof casings. That's embarrassing. Well then, excuse me. Wait, no, I can actually just put here. Let's output bus, output hatch, sure. And see, that's awkward because oh, you know what? I don't even need a ladder. There we go. Bam. So now it forms up. You can tell when the textures all align and become the same color. And there you are. That's the Greg Tech blast furnace. And what I like is that it gives you freedom of where do you put the automation. Because it's just like if you build an immersive engineering arc furnace, it looks beautiful, it looks really pretty. But if you have it facing north and you actually need it to face east, well, you're shit out of luck, buddy. Like you gotta tear down the whole entire thing and rebuild it. Congratulations. Whereas this thing, it's just like, huh, wow, that was super easy. Well, I guess it's hard to figure it out the first time just because you have so many options and flexibility. But you know, that's fine. That's what Minecraft is. I like that Minecraft gives you, and especially modern Minecraft, has a large learning curve. But once you know it, you actually feel like, you know, there's progression once you figure out, oh, this is how you make the multi-block. I don't know, that's like part of my stylistic preference for Greg Tech so much, and why, you know, I had such a strong opinion that normally I just, you know, would just type this up on an angry rant on Reddit post comparing the difference, but I just felt like I had to mention it here. Oh yeah, another thing I forgot to mention is just how tiering with Greg Tech multi-blocks work. So one nice thing is about Greg Tech multi-blocks that it's easy to overclock them versus the single block variants, which is why if you want to do a lot of processing, it's always highly recommended to stick to the Greg Tech multi-blocks if you need to do, because these things are actually heavy duty multi-blocks. They're big and expensive and large for a reason, and they're also easy to tier up because what determines their tier is the energy input hatches. So I could just make 2 more energy input hatches, and on average energy input hatches are just cheaper, right? They don't require electric pistons, they don't require motors, they don't require pumps. It's just attach the tier appropriate cable to the tier appropriate hull. Very simple. And in fact, I could just even spam this sucker with a bunch of energy input hatches at the top side, all LV if I want to tier up to MV, or if I want to tier it up to HV. Like it's not recommended, but I mean, that's what I really like about the flexibility and the freedom that these Greg Tech multi-blocks give. Another part is that each energy input hatch when in a multi-block can actually accept up to 2 amps. So it says here it's LV, so it takes 32 EU per tick. That's the voltage, but it takes up to 2 amps. So theoretically, it could take up to 64 EU per tick if it is in 2 amps. So that's why you only need 2 energy input hatches to process MB, because these 2 hatches are taking up to 4 amps of LV, which is 32 EU per tick. So 4 times 32 is 128, which is why this is now an MV capable ready blast furnace. That's how the tiering works. It's one of the first things that correct type progression just really sticks to you. And I really just like this in terms of game design, because in order to get to the next level, you have to just master this minor concept of overclocking and multi-blocks. And, you know, master the art of reading tooltips. I know it's a very, very hard art, but you have to get to it. So yeah, let's just, I can like shove aluminium dust in there, but actually if I shove aluminium dust, my power storage will just completely die off. Is just because I actually don't produce 120 EU per tick. So if we go back and do the math, 120 EU per tick is 480 RF per tick, and if these things are each producing 40, I'll need about 12 steam dynamos, and I only have 10 right now. So let me go get that 12 steam dynamo, and in fact, let me just talk about setting up that round robin fuel process, round robin fuel jar, and I'll get back to all of you guys. Oh god damn it, do I really need to get more silver? God damn it, fuck. Alright, well, I just completely destroyed that vein of all glina and lead, so I think I should edit my waypoint. Do I have any more left? Okay, you know what, if I need more, I'll find more later. Not a big deal. Oh darn, I should have been paying attention. So it turns out soul sand isn't accessible until you get deep mob learning simulations up. Well, yeah, I mean, that's not that hard to really do. It's just that it kind of caught me off guard. Okay, yeah, this is not that bad though. In fact, how big simulation chamber, then we can turn that into loot fabricator. That's fine. So it's pulsating meshes and 3 circuit basics and a dark steel machine hull. Oh yeah, it's all not that bad. Okay, we can get this done. Moo, moo, cow goes moo. What? And Viral goes, where the fuck are all these cows? It's almost like 600 blocks away from my base. Hello? Yes? Wagyu Incorporated? I would like to buy your finest dairy cow, please. What? I'm too poor to afford it. Oh, well then, I'm taking my business elsewhere. Hello? Do you remember me? Yes, you said I was too poor to afford your cow. Well, guess what? I'm back. I want to buy the entire business and fire you. That's secretly one of my, like, secret side dreams, even though most shopkeepers I've met were just nice to me. So I don't really have a way to justify going in and buying someone out and firing them. I know I'm a really petty person. And it shows how much of a first world problem that is. It's just like, have you guys ever been so bored that you wish someone would mistreat you so you can have a vengeance plot in your life? Well, for one thing, guys, if you can learn anything from Game of Thrones, vengeance is not the way to go. Never pays off. Ew. Wait, is that a vanilla sound? When did they add that? No way, that's vanilla. Is that cork? That sounds so gross. I mean, I understand it's the sound of milk hitting the bucket, but it literally sounds like I'm peeing into my toilet. Damn. Well, that was entertaining. Alright, so now I only have the soul sand left to go, which is a bitch because I need to have the simulation chamber. Alright, so now we're waiting on the dark steel plates and on, I forget, pulsating meshes. Easy, first try. Okay, so I'm here at Bedrock, and one of the things I realized that, you know, a lot of Ender IO machines need is Grains of Affinity. The funny part is that I keep thinking for some reason that Grains of Affinity is a new addition to Ender IO, but in hindsight it's been part of Ender IO for like a long time now. It's just, I don't know, I guess just time just flies by when you don't even know about it. But yeah, so basically this is my setup. I have it. There might be a more efficient way to do this. I'm not really sure. This is the only one that could come to mind given the current resources I had. So basically it's kind of similar to above. You have an observer, you have a dispenser. The dispenser is going to have torches. I mean, it's going to have flint and steel. And Grains of Infinity drop and spawn in the world whenever you have a fire, and then the fire goes out. So we have the dispenser, which is going to obviously, you know, turn on every single time. And oh, you know what I just realized now? I have, oh, there's my like, share, subscribe pickaxe. The observer is going to go out, right? And as it goes out, it's going to light that thing on fire. I have no idea why the redstone ended up inside the dispenser, but every single time the fire goes out, the observer will turn it back on, and then there should be Grains of Infinity dropping. The other side, though, is that you need to have a collector to pick it up, which will probably need a redstone signal to pick it up. Ow. So I'll probably have the collector face that way. Perfect. And I think this is going to be kind of annoying, but I'll just have a redstone clock on the collector here. I can... So the thing is, I can... I'm not sure how reliable the timing is. If the fire activates... if when the fire goes out. Sorry, I'm just like struggling for words, but yeah. So as you saw here, it didn't really. So I'd rather just have the collector check every now and then with the redstone clock. Plus, it'll be high enough that I won't really hear the redstone clock, so it won't be that much of a problem. And then finally, I'll have this basic drawer here, and then I'll just use one of the Ender item conduits I have to pull it out of the collector and into the jar. Hopefully this will work. We'll check it back in like an hour or so and see how much is gathered, if any, or if it's just failing horribly. All right, we're back 5 minutes later, and it looks like it's a good success. There's 10 grains of infinity in there, and okay, yeah. So it turns out that some grains of infinity are leaking off the side, so we'll just cover it up with stone, and that should solve most of the problems. Perfect. Oh wow, this hardened upgrade kit actually uses a fair amount of materials. So the biggest one's going to be just using Invar gears. I can actually use a fluid solidifier. The biggest worry about when you're using fluid solidifiers is that fluid extractors just use up a lot of energy. They're the highest, usually the highest energy demanding, aside from thermal centrifuges. Thermal centrifuges are pretty bad too. But this one's 32 EU per tick, right? So, but I mean, I have more than enough power to handle that. As long as I don't have like the entire line running at once, I should be able to just do that. So what I'll do is I'll probably just form Invar gears using a fluid extractor. Seems simple enough for me. Alright, so I got my fluid extractor and fluid solidifier, and I think I could just jam these two suckers right next to each other here. If this, it's funny because in any other Greg Tech pack, you would normally never see a line to be this ridiculous, this far away. Especially with, you just would never see this type of setup. But it's actually much easier in this pack than in other packs because the conductive iron cables that you make early on, they have 0 loss per block, so they basically operate very closely to RF. So there's a lot of parallels. It does remove elements of quote-unquote Greg Tech, but I mean, whatever, right? It's just like whatever's fun for the pack, that's fine. If someone gives you shit about it, they probably have too high of an opinion up their ass. I don't know, but I mean, that's really how I feel about it. It's just, it's not that big of a deal, and there's no reason for them to try and make it sound like one. Right, so the fluid extractor's here. You can't see it right now. Actually, I'll just show you. Item outputs. This has fluid outputs as well, but it's colored blue. And I'm going to have it go right into the fluid solidifier. And then I'll just have the fluid solidifier. Oh, interesting. So apparently when I destroyed the fluid solidifier, it also destroyed my gear mold. That's probably a bug. I don't know. Maybe YouTube can find it for me. I'm pretty sure you guys never really miss anything, but yeah, pretty sure it just disappeared on me right now. Okay, so I'll just go remake that gear mold, and we'll probably get some Invar going now. Yeah, so you can see this in action now, right? Where you have the Invar spitting out the fluid Invar, and then once this gets to a certain amount, or 576, it should be able to form gears. And this is the most efficient way to make gears early on. Later on, you will have the extruder. You'll have the access to the extruder at MV, which can make gears directly from ingots. And the main reason, like, people just like, why don't I just stick with the fluid extractor, fluid solidifier for the rest of my playthrough? You can. It's just that it's two blocks, right? So maybe that might bother you, or maybe it might bother you that it's it's multiple steps, whereas an extruder just puts an ingot in, you get a gear out, very nice and simple. But really it just depends on how big and how many steps you want your setup to have. That's why most people tend to prefer the Invar method. I mean, not the Invar method, the extruder method. But really it gameplay wise it shouldn't make that big of a difference. All right, so the main reason I'm getting these Invar gears is because I need them for steam dynamo upgrades, because I'm going to upgrade these steam dynamos a little bit. It'll give me more augment room. I say that I don't even have these augments filled for all of them, but it'll give me more augment room. They'll output more power by default, and then I can really start jamming in stuff with I can really start jamming this input bus, aluminium and energetic alloy blends. So that's what I'm really looking forward to. And once I can, and while I'm waiting for that, in the meantime, I can just also work on deep mob learning. So let's go back to the simulation chamber. And once again, if you're trying to figure out what am I doing, we're all working towards this sucker right here, right? Farming station. Just keep your mind on that. Even though it's probably easy to keep your mind on that because for you in the video it's probably like 10 minutes, whereas for me it's like hours on hours. I think I think I passed a day. No, yeah, so time played is almost a day now. Yeah, so what, 24 hours in. It's a really nice pace, just taking it nice and slow.